Well, hello, everybody. Um, we're back again and glad to hopefully see that people will show up so that we can have an engaging conversation about our gardening activities. And today's, my queen is coming, so that's the better part of me. So she'll be stepping in here shortly, and we are glad to see that anyone that can join in will do so, and so that we can be able to have an engaging conversation. Let's see. Let me turn the mic down. I always forget to do that. I'm both the engineer and talk show host. My wife and I, we hope to bring you helpful information to be able to help you have decisions in your own gardening activities. Thank you, sweetie. Here's my queen now, baby. Sweet mama.
Hey everybody. Hey
Oh boy.
everybody and welcome back. Welcome back. We back again. It's a little cold outside.
So that's the reason why we're doing this right here.
Yeah, we would be outside, but the wind is a little gusty today.
Doesn't she look gorgeous, everybody? She's beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, she do.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah. So are we waiting or are we just gonna
Let's
are we
go.
gonna wait to see if we got anybody in there yet?
We'll wait and see. Oh, wait a minute. There's Princess Landa, Israel. Thank you
Hello
for
there,
joining
Miss
us.
Israel.
How
How
you
are you?
doing? Good to have you on the show
Good
today.
to have you. Welcome,
Yep.
welcome.
Let's see. Both the engineer and so give me a minute to acknowledge you. We have a guest with us today.
And we're excited to see you and thank you for stopping in. And we want to say right now, for anybody coming on, be sure to like our content and smash that subscribe button.
Yes, please
Please.
do. That'll
Yes.
help us to bring more
Yeah.
content.
You know, we might be senior citizens, but we have like lots and lots of stories to tell,
Lots
lots
of
of wisdom,
stories.
things we want to share with you. All of our channels are kind of related to the main thing of get busy, as my husband would say it.
Get busy living or get busy dying, but you can't do both.
Right. And remember, it's never too late. If you're here today, that's the day to start. You know, and that's the most important thing. We always put time limits on ourselves, like start later or start now. But we're here and we're going to try to do as much as we can. So we are in North Las Vegas. Let's identify that.
Zone 9A.
Zone 9A. But we're going to be talking about things today in 9A all the way till 11
Yes.
and identify some of the things. Now, these things, a lot of these things we've already started.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we're not outside, but we do have garden things outside that we wanted to show you, but it's a little blustery today. So hopefully we're going to be able to get there. And Princess, we thank you again for being on our channel today.
Yes.
So we like to discuss our zone checklist. Yes, we got a checklist, and every year this list gets a little bit more tedious.
Yeah, let's get
But-
to it, baby.
Yeah. So the first thing is it's crucial to identify your frost dates. Now I'm not this math person that does all this meticulation to say when and what. My husband does all of that, but you know what? I'm one of those people that it touches. I can see it as being an herbalist. I'm looking at signs. I look at signs in the weather and signs in my plants, and that's kind of how I go off of it. But he gives me the actual dates, and then we kind of coincide on that. But we do know that the last frost date is important.
We vibe.
We vibe, yeah, because he takes care of his end and I take care of mine.
Yeah, we do.
So, you know, in Las Vegas, the climates are mild, and everything that we do with the dates, they are just guesstimations. They're not really that exact. As we know, with global warming and the changing, nothing is exact. You know?
No, it's
So
not.
You kind of have to. People would say, "Oh, you're in Las Vegas. You're gardening." Yeah, we garden, and we garden year round.
Yes, we do.
We garden year round. There's no such thing as quitting, because if we quit, we wouldn't have food. And so we're either gardening indoors or outdoors. It's there's going to be right now I'm sprouting. We did some reels on the sprouts. We do those every now and then to remind people you can grow things inside to eat, to feed your body and your brain and keep your health up during all of these crazy things that we're going to go through. But that last frost date is good to calculate when you can start planting indoors by counting the seeds maturation dates backwards from the last estimated date. So you'll be ready to plant for outdoors. So if you're counting backwards, you know, and you start them indoors, you'll know when to take them outside. Do I do that? No, I don't. My husband do it, but me, I'm kind of. I've already started a lot of plants
Yeah,
in
you
our
have.
greenhouse tents, and there's a little secret to that, and I'll share that with you later in our little podcast today, or you know when we're talking. But that date that they say for Las Vegas and anyone in zone 9, and that was in 9A, 9B, is that in February between the 6th and the 28th, that means you can start planting seeds indoors, and even as late as February or early March. So early March. But guess what? I'm starting next week, and I'll give you the reasons why on that too. You know, a lot of things is trial and error, and we do things we know you don't ever just plant 10 seeds and expect to have, hey, that's my garden is magic. We know that one seed may come up out of the 10. I've had one seed to come up. I planted 3 different packs of seeds, the same type, but out of all of the 30, I have one plant right now, and this plant is so strong. It survived and is in our little hoop house right now.
Yes.
And it's a very important plant. It's called the cancer bush. But just saying that, I didn't really know a lot about the plant as force, because this is one of my indigenous plants, and I wanted to grow it, and I wanted to try to be successful with it. It's originally from Africa, and it's growing now. And this baby has been beat up, and I cut off a part of it and brought that back to life. So again, there's a lot of trial and error, but the most important thing is that you get out there and you try.
Right.
Zone 10 and 11 has no estimated last frost date, so feel free to start planting. You can plant, and again, if you're wrong about something, so what? You're wrong. You paid maybe $4 or $5 for seeds and your soil, and you're starting to bring forth life, and no one knows the answers until you actually plant it yourself and you do it yourself, and that's the most important thing. You can begin planting warm season crops indoors as early as February, like I said, and we plan to start next week. We already bought our little trays, and we bought the little dome covers. The reason I use the dome covers indoors is because they keep moisture in your planters. If you're not out there to water them accurately on time, they will build up condensation in those containers.
Right.
And so you're going to have the perfect little ecosystem going on so that plant can germinate properly. And that's really the most important thing. If you can get them to germinate, I'm not interested so much in height. I'm not so much interested in how many leaves and foliage. If they have a couple of, and they get past having their first 2 sets of leaves and they're in the second set and growing, I'm doing fine. And they can take their time, because what's going to be going on is root work, right?
Right. Exactly.
And that root work is so important, because these plants, mind you, you're not going to keep them in this little incubation stage. This is just a nice micro mini ecosystem to get them to be strong. And once again, I'll reiterate, this is a time they say they don't need to be fed, but I do. We do. It's all organic. It's my husband's jadam sauce that he makes, and we'll feed them things like that. And the reason why is because you want them to be strong enough when you do the transfer that they'll just explode. And another thing that I think is very important, people don't believe in doing, is that feeding your plants doesn't mean just giving them the nutrition, but is also giving them the ability to fight back from mites,
Right.
pesticides, and
Different
things of that,
diseases.
different
Right.
diseases. So you want to feed them something like another plant. That sounds crazy, right? But if you're using nothing that's going to burn them, but if you have plants like you can use calendia, you can use rosemary, you can use sage. You can start misting your plants with a light water solution on that soil.
True.
And on top of that plant, because what you're doing is giving them, this is like giving your plants a shot of some type of a viral vaccine. You're vaccinating them so they can stand those little critters that's going to come up and try to eat in all those tender leaves.
Right.
Because you're confusing them, because they're not going to think that, and this is my hack, because I'm saying they don't know that, oh, if you use nasturtium leaves, they don't know, but if these things are not getting eaten up in your garden, and that's why we have test gardens in the wintertime.
Right.
If they're not getting eaten now, this is a good indication that these are plants that those little nasty predators hate. So why not inoculate your plants so they can uptake some of those things and take on some of those characteristics, and they can stay in their garden doing what they need to do. Do you think that's important?
Yeah, I do. Prepping your garden starts with your soil. You have to have a good foundation to plant your seeds in, whether you direct sow or you use seedlings. Your soil has to comprise of all different types of micro life, the mycelium of the soil. And this is the network, the web in which all plants communicate. There was a movie a long time ago came on called The Happening. And very weird, right?
Yeah.
Well, they were depicting in that movie that plants actually communicate.
And they
with one
do.
another, and they do.
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading an article, and my minor in college was botany. I was a pre med, so that was my a field of study. But in the movie, it showed how the plants send signals, or what we might call pheromones. But with a plant, they send biological signals to one another. And plants have the ability to have offense and defensive measures. So, for instance, a plant will draw an insect to it because it needs that symbiotic relationship for that plant to thrive. And at the same time, that plant will send an offensive signal to keep an insect or a predator away from itself. And so when all plants go through their life cycle, they thrive on these pheromones, as you might call it, or these biological chemicals that they produce in the soil, because the soil has to have certain components like sugar, has some salt, some magnesium, potassium, a lot of those chemicals that are like neurotransmitters in our brain, but for the plant and botany world, they use that to cause the plant to communicate with one another. Everything under the earth is connected unless the soil is dead. So that's one of the things that's necessary, that we use these organic chemicals in our garden so that our plants will thrive. They will be able to send out their natural signals to draw insects to them, and they'll be able to send natural signals to draw insects away. And as my wife, she is the certified master herbalist. She saved my life twice. She saved the lives of our family, our grandkids. We caught COVID, and she went out into our garden to get herbs so that she'll be able to, make sure that it address the different systems in our body. I'm having some technical issues because I wanted to bring up our garden so that the viewers could see that. So if you see the screen going kind of crazy, that's me trying to make adjustments. But so for that sake, that's what she uses. She uses herbs as companion planting. We do square
Always.
we do square foot gardening in our garden, so that way we can put our seeds or seed direct sows in the seed, and they have their adequate space, so that way you can get air into the garden, because it's very important that your garden beds and your plants have air between them so they'll thrive and not be so close that they can't reach their full maximal potential.
So something that I found out about doing even though we're just seed starting, and this has to do with containers. You know, we started, we have about, I think, 13 cabbages right now, and I just used the leaves, the outer leaves that were really huge to make juice with yesterday. But in this container, in this garden bed, what is the size of that, you think?
Container.
The metal ones, the metal.
They're 7 feet by 1 foot tall, 7 feet long,
Right.
and about 3 feet wide.
So those are good for the cabbages, squash, peppers, tomatoes, melons, eggplants, and lettuce, and things of that nature. Because I like the way, the depth of it, and also to be able to just contain and also watch for your predators. Right now we have these covered, so they're thriving in the winter here, and these cabbages are huge, and they are making heads, and these will probably go on until about March. But what I would like to say is that you have to know that your plants. You're not limited to these, but when you start them late, and especially in zone 9, I have noticed I have not had a good successful year with squash in the last 4 to 5 years,
Or cucumbers.
or cucumbers and tomatoes.
Right,
The
yes.
tomatoes we will get in the fall. But there's a hack to this, and I believe that my theory is going to be correct, and I'm going to make sure we try it this year. So we're planting everything from squash, the peppers, tomatoes, the melons, the eggplants. We're doing those now, and the reason why is because we have a very short growing season in the summertime. And that sounds crazy. It's as though you're in the best weather. It's so hot when it gets to be June, maybe the mid part of June. I would say the second or third week in June, the temperature is going to rise into
Connected to iPhone.
the 3 digits, 111,
Connected.
118 is not uncommon. And that's not even ground temperature that we're talking about right now. My husband is always taking pictures of, I'm just reaching for my phone, so forgive me, because I know people tend to call when you're doing things like this. I wanted to make sure it was off. But it's crazy because all of the hard work you've done, your garden will be gone. So, you have to make sure these covered gardens and things of that nature, due to global global warming.
Yes, it is.
And climate change.
Which has a big effect.
We have to really make sure that we're doing our part too, because things that used to work for my mom and dad, and I came from a gardening family, and so did my husband. He's from back east.
Yes, Columbus, Ohio.
And I'm from originally from Las Vegas. I'm a native.
Right.
But we always grew up with gardens. We always grew up with animals, but things have changed so much because there's so much concrete and there's so much heat. You have to adapt. So that adaptive, it means starting your plants. That's why I'm saying and I'm stressing it is so important to start your plants. Don't think you don't have work to do. Yeah, you have work to do in January. I have been running my tail off and still cannot catch up.
Yeah, you are. We both have.
And we have a garden full of food because we wanted to eat every day. We don't want to just eat in the summer. We want to eat in the summer and in the winter. We want to eat at all times. We don't want to say, oh, we're just eating, and we have fall crops. I do a lot of preparation foods. I store and freeze a lot of things. I still haven't got the gist of working my harvest right. I will be bringing you guys videos once I get
that would be exciting.
Yeah, but I have a dehydrator. I like the harvest right more because you save and preserve. I think it's 95%. I think if you guys can correct me, but it's somewhere in the 90s of your all the nutrients, and that's what I'm looking for. Nutrient dense. If you're going to take the time to grow your food, you want your nutrients back. You don't want them to say, "Oh, fine, now my nutrients are gone." But making a long story short, you have so much work to do. Starting your gardens indoors is a must. It's a mandatory thing because in the stores we have to wait for the big box stores, and we love the nurseries. I love to visit and see what they have.
Yeah,
but you have to wait.
You're an addict.
Yes, that's my little vacation when I go to the nurseries because I didn't plant it. It's there and it's beautiful and I can take it. But then we have to always make sure we're adapting to all the cooties that's there. But when you're doing your own plants, just like your own babies, you're going to take time to make sure they don't have inoculate them, they don't have the cooties, and you're putting that time and effort in it, and you're not waiting for someone to say, we didn't get a crop in, and you really wanted it. You really want, I've done this so many times, and you're expecting, and they say, come back in 2 weeks. Or then finally you miss 1 week, and guess what? You go back, and then they tell you, sorry, we sold out last week.
Your chance is gone.
It's a roller coaster.
But it's very important.
It's very important.
That you let your seeds, when they grow their plant seedlings, go to their full life circle.
Oh, yes. Very important.
Yeah. Because you'll get thousands of seeds back.
Yes.
And you won't get that when you buy the pack in the store. You might get 5, maybe 10 seeds. So you have to, as I was saying earlier, the soil is the most important foundation to start your garden. Because without that, your garden will not thrive.
You're right. And another important fact is too, flower seeds, they have longer maturation dates. So make sure to start germinating your seeds, your flowers, all those beautiful ones. And you're saying, I want my pollinators. I say that every year to my husband. That's why I'm echoing myself. And he's upset with me because I'm saying, I want my pollinators. But you know what we do? We have waited every year, and he faithfully gets seeds from his favorite place.
I do. American Meadows.
Yes. Yeah. And then he plants them, and then I'm staring at him like, where's my flowers? Because by the time the flowers,
so true.
The flowers, but you know what? I think I figured it out this year. So by the time those flowers get up, and they're beautiful and they're worth it, they're all the way into midsummer, maybe late July. And guess what?
Oh, September.
Yes, your squash have flowered, and nothing was there to help the pollinators. The only thing that was there was all of the things that you hate, the predators.
Yes.
And the predators just have a ball. They love the hot heat. There's no pollinators and nothing for them to feed off. And so you're stuck. You're in the plant nurseries trying to buy marigolds, anything that you can. And a lot of these plants, the predators don't even like.
And speaking of predators, I don't know if everybody who's grown a garden seen these pretty little butterflies.
Oh.
The white butterflies. Yeah, they look so darling. They look magical flying in your garden. They're not magical. They're predators. They lay hundreds of eggs, tomato worms. That's what they produce.
A hornworm.
Hornworm. They come from hornworms. So those pretty little butterflies, white butterflies you see flying around the flowers, and you think, oh, they're gorgeous, and they're doing, they're predators. They eat, they bring offsprings, they kill everything that was alive in your garden. So either put a mosquito net over your garden to keep them from entering into your garden area, or take organic preventive measures to spray your plants. And one I liked that was on Garden Like a Viking, he used oregano and mint. He boiled it in a pot and simmered it, get the oils out, and then he strained it and Then you went on to spray. And if you do any kind of spraying of foliage in your garden, do it either early morning before the sun rises or in the evening when the sun goes down.
Right. Now, going back to your little baby seedlings, there's, again, when we were talking about feeding them all of these different nutrients as they were coming up, you can easily sprinkle these things on the topsoil. The sage water, I don't boil mine. I just blend it up in the blender like I'm doing juice, strain it, put it in the bottle, and mist it a fine mist.
Right.
Because the aromas is enough almost, if you're like having open gardening. But if you want to kill anything that's in the soil, the butterflies and things like that don't like to lay their eggs on things that have strong, pungent smells. Most of the oils and things that are in sage, I find sage to be very adaptive, and I don't see anything eating my sage. So I grow a lot of sage in my garden because it's just so easy to do that. Anything that's going around my sage is safe. I have a leaf of life right under my sage, and that's even been safe, because they don't want to touch it. But even the slugs that we've had a slug issue, they don't touch that. They don't touch guinea hen. So all of these different things that are medicinal, and I noticed the more medicinal plants are the ones that the predators stay away from.
Right.
The medicinal plants, you're not going to find a problem with them. Oregano, anything that's medicinal, you're not going to see predators. So while you're out there thinking about things that can flower, lavender is wonderful, and it's medicinal. And there's garlic, there's chives, there's lots of things. Now I notice that dill will get attacked, and fenugreek too, with different things. But at the same time, you can always, like you said, plant several different types of varieties in your spread for gardening, so you don't have to worry about them. But right now, in your planting stage, include those things now, because if you don't include those predator plants that's in your gardening, we talked about.
Okay, hi. This is Gary from North Las Vegas. And that is lacewing bugs.
Oh, yeah.
Also ladybugs, praying mantis, all those natural predator enemies that help protect your garden.
Yes.
There's always been this ideal that, well, what if you introduce too many predators into your garden area to take care of the ones who are killing your garden plants? For instance, you can't ever have too many ladybugs in a garden at all.
No.
Because aphids lay by the thousands. And so those ladybugs consume those aphids like cheesecake. I'm just trying to be a little humorous. Lacewing bugs are required. So you want to introduce all those other methods along with your natural organic control methods for your garden.
And it's their babies that eat the other babies. So
exactly.
So if you're not, because ladybugs. One thing about, they call them ladybirds too. They don't stay. if you're going to have an open garden and they're going to stay there for their little time period, lay their babies, and then they're gone. It's not like they're trained to stay. Praying mantis are more stable as far as staying in their territory, and they do their eggs are probably maybe 400 to 500 in one of those little cocoons if you get them to hatch.
Right.
Um, but see, that's a guinea hen there that he's showing, and no, that's brown mustards. I'm sorry, brown mustards. I saw the guinea hen in front of it, the little stem for the flower, but there's a brown mustard behind it. The brown mustards there, they eat those, but that wasn't their first choice. They just started kind of nibbling. And I want to talk about harvesting winter vegetables. The only way you're going to harvest winter vegetables is having a garden that you plant late in the summer or early fall. And we're harvesting winter vegetables because we did that. It's February, it's almost February, and we still have a garden full of food. So we do that intentionally because we realize if we have those plastic tunnels, like slugs before. Well, since it's now even more subtropical because it's all closed in and then there's heat, we have to deal with that one. We still have to deal with the what do you call those little things? Aphids.
Aphids, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
yes.
And my husband will use neem on that to control them, or either dishwashing liquid soap and peroxide works well too.
Right.
But we're just trying to keep that harvest going so we have food. But I would say not to get rid of everything for a person that wants to continue to eat out of their garden, because you can do companion planting once your little plants in your indoor plants that you've grown or that's outdoors in your little protected areas, that's in your little covered garden beds, whatever you're using, you'll be able to start transplanting those. I would say probably in March.
By March, yes.
Yeah. And all of those
harden them all.
Yeah, harden them out. So if you're starting in February, things like arugula, beets, leeks, parsnips, carrots, chives, fennel, kale, lettuce, onions, spinach,
Yes.
And even tomatoes.
Yes, tomatoes.
And I stress the fact that because when we grow the tomatoes, every year the tomatoes are always ending up being, they start to bloom too late. And then when they do form, it's so hot out here, they usually end up splitting, and we have some other issues.
Hey, good morning, guys. How y'all doing?
So
I'm going here and forage to see what we can find in the grocery store. So come along with us and see what we can find.
Well, he's trying to now show us a clip.
I'm having technical issues today.
Yeah, you just have to lower the volume so we can't hear that to get there. But if the planting season is starting for you now, I would plant everything that I love and I didn't get last year. So right now for me, squash is a big one and cucumbers is a big one. And I want those in abundance, and I wanted the summer squash. But even though I'm even going to do the fall squash, and I'm not going to do it now, but probably no later than April, I'll be planting the fall squash. Because once again, that summer time in zone 9, it is ridiculous to get over that. And we won't have the plastic tents up by the way when you see that. We won't have that up. So when you don't have any protection and you're in zone 9, you don't have just the hot sun to fight with. You have the meanest little demonic predators that's out there that are just, they're diligent about their job. I'm going to say one thing. They don't care about the sun. They'll come out in the sun and they'll stay out there and they'll just damage your plant. And then between the heat being so hot, your plant won't have a chance because it's not getting enough nutrients. Even me as a plant doctor, I give up. I have to give up because I realized that between the predators and the heat, that is too much. But as you can see the sage in here, and you can see some of the things that's growing in there, it's, this is going on right now. We have more than enough. The leaf of life plant, nothing touches that either. So these are some things that grow normally in Africa and Jamaica. But then again, think about our climate here, zone 9 people. We have to understand a lot of these things grow right here in Las Vegas. I have lots of these plants. And by the way, I have some on sale at the Herbal Triage too, little plantings that I started. So you can start a lot of these plants, begin now. Know that this is the reason that people have successful gardens because they plan early. Planting is just the first part of the process, and the beginning of the process to actually plant now. There are so many different varieties. We do have Las Vegas is a good reminder to never stop, but also to remember that the hack is always grow year round.
Yes.
And if something, and you're saying, so what if you grow it too early? It's just one seed, one plant, or how many seeds. Do it again in the next couple of weeks. Continue until you get the ideal and the gist of it, because your garden, there's no two gardens that are uniquely alike. Some people will tell you, and if I listen to everything everybody said, I wouldn't grow anything. I swear you can't grow that. I have Jamaican cherries in there. I have guinea hens. We have turmeric. I'm digging up turmeric and ginger now when I need it, as I need it. Tulsi, holy basil. And these were all things started. Some of them were started in the garden. Some of them we started indoors. That basil, that lavender basil. So we're never without. I was sick this yesterday and the day before. I felt that I was coming down with COVID. And I'm so, which I'm still feeling shaky today, and drinking hibiscus and about 5 different herbs right now from the garden. And I can tell you something. Between the garden, I probably would have been at the hospital or the doctor's office asking for some type of medicine, which I never do, and I hate to do. But I know the symptoms of COVID and this new one. All of a sudden, I just got cold and shaky and weak, and I'm still perspiring a lot, hot and cold. But at the same time, I came out of it overnight, and definitely with prayer. My king always prays over me, and I pray over him, so I definitely put that first. But I tell you, it's so valuable to have, because when you need it and you want it, look at all that mullein I still have there. And this is surviving without anything at all in the wintertime. And these were sown from seeds. And it's just a wonderful thing to see that how some of life, I like to leave things out because you want to know how they survive and how they're doing. And I will be taking some of these out and taking them to new locations. But at the same time, we covered with wood chips, and they're doing fine in there. And I think there's some bok choy in there too, and a few other plants. But you have to just, really get out there and experiment with your garden. You have to just get out there and say, I'm going to do this. And this is a good time to get seed catalogs for the new the new season. One of my favorites is this company here, the Rare Seeds, and I get their catalogs. I don't know if you can see it, but you want to be able to look at new plants and get new ideas and see what you would like, and and then look at the regions that they're growing in. You know. So I'm going to say to you, this is something that you really want to be able to get your ideals in place. Have a choice. When you go to the nurseries, I know you're probably familiar with that too. You're stuck with whatever they have. You don't have to be stuck because you have time. You can go on Amazon, you can go on Etsy, you can find new strands, you can pick up things that you want and say, hey, you know what, this is what I really want to grow here, and take your pick of what's your taste palette like. As you see me throwing things out, that might be something that has a bug on it. That's why. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm so bold now. I'll do things even not having gloves on now. So I've grown a lot.
Well, we got another person on, Tiffany. Hello, Tiffany.
Hi, Tiffany.
Yep. Thank you for showing up to our show. We really
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Let me see if I can go ahead.
So when you're in the garden, I grow every day. And one thing about it, if you're not feeling well, when I go out there, I get that oxygen that I need. It's so pure and fresh. I forget that I'm not feeling well, maybe, just for a few moments of the day. And it does something to me to energize me and take me through the night. I'm always about trying to better ourselves. We know that the food condition here on our wonderful planet has diminished. And if we don't help ourselves, we're not doing a service. I don't just service myself, I service my whole family, any of the family members that need plants, any friends, people, my neighbors. We welcome them to come and we have a harvest. They can come get greens from our yard, our plant, our garden, and we share. We try to make sure that our community is healthy because, more people you help, it's like a connection with the plants. Synapse is taking place that it just kind of spreads. And we want to spread the love. We want to make sure that everybody is getting something from gardening because we get a lot from it. We get a lot of my spirituality comes from gardening. And I would say that because I connect with the plants, and my husband does too, that I realize, you know what, unless the seed falls down to the ground, it can't do what? It can't grow. Yeah. And so when a seed falls to the ground, it produces life. So that life is giving life to us. Speaking about that, do you know that in the seed, and we're talking about physical things, physiology, just like we come from a seed, sperm and an ovum. When you buy a seed, all that genetic information
in that seed dictates how that plant's going to grow,
That's so true.
how that plant will look, how the leaf structure will look. In that seed is the potential of the creation of every plant, every tree that Yahweh's ever created. See, just like when your parents provided the seed for you in your body, everything about your body, how it functions, how it's going to look, how it's going to be expressed, the Creator puts all his genetic makeup, and I say genetic as spiritual, in that seed. So when it comes together, that it shows forth his glory. And that's the same thing with seeds that you get. They show forth the plant's glory. And my wife want to show you something. And it's good to see this. Watch it.
So I don't know if you can see that. I'm on the what screen or not because I see it on this one.
There we go.
Okay. So we had this on our reels too. We did a 5-day sprouting, and I showed day 1 what the seeds look like. And this is actually our happy day, which is day 5, the completion of our seeding. So I wanted to bring this out to show you. So there's no reason for you not to be able to live indoors and say, I can't get fresh food. I don't care if you're in an apartment that's 2 by 2. If you can stand up in it and you have a place, a jar and a container, you can eat. And so what he was saying about these seeds are the nucleus of life. And everything that's in this seed has the potential to be so explosive. When you're doing sprouting, they will tell you that these sprouts, just I think maybe I'm not going to give you the facts, and you guys can go look it up yourself. But like maybe a couple of teaspoons of these seeds are more than a full plate of any type of vegetable.
Greens, right?
Greens. That's the nutrients. So when Yahweh created us, I'm saying that's the same thing with us. That explosion of life is already everything. They don't ever need any type of fertilizer to start life because they're that nutrient dense and packed. So when we're putting these small seeds, I'm going to use these for juicing, by the way. I use these so because if I'm getting a juice in my body, I want it to be packed with nutrients. I don't need something that's going to work on me next week when I'm not feeling well. But you can do this every 5 days, and you can have all of the seeds that you need, all of the food that you need, and you can put this in your soups. Yes, and you're going to be killing them then. You say, well, killing the nutrients. You know, minerals cannot be burned. So people need to understand that too about cooking, that when you're cooking, as far as mineral contents, they won't burn. You're going to utilize. That's why people talk about sea moss all the time, raw or either being used in a soup or something of that nature. Minerals don't die.
Want me to go ahead and run this clip?
Yes, he's going to run a clip from the sprouting for the last 5 days, and we did the sprouting to show you again just that quickly in 5 days that you can garden. So thinking about that 12 months in a year, there's no reason for you to go without.
Okay.
Day 1, rinsing. These seeds will be rinsed 3 times today. Morning, around lunchtime, and then before bed. We're going to do this for 5 days, and we're going to bring you with us every day so you can see the finished result. By the way, I did soak the seeds yesterday for 8 hours, and in that water, the jars were only 3/4 filled, and I used apple cider vinegar to soak. Stay with us. We'll be back tomorrow with an update.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did that for 5 days, and each day I showed the seeds. And the apple cider vinegar, a lot of people don't like to use, but I say use something. And even though these are organic seeds, you can use grapefruit seed extract, which I used also. I use lemons or limes. And the same thing I do with my sea moss. I'm always going to do an additional cleaning to make sure there's no bacteria or anything like that. And as you saw, these were perfect. They didn't have any mold, anything like that on them.
Very healthy.
And before I stick these in my refrigerator today, I'm going to rinse them in lemon water or lime water and drain them. And then I'm going to use these for juicing, and they will last in the refrigerator. Believe it or not, when you do this, they say 3 days. They will last 2 weeks in your refrigerator and be crisp. And I usually rinse mine every 2 days in the lemon water, ascorbic acid, something of that nature that will keep them nice and bright, as well as no fungus will come on them. But again, these are little seeds, and I had to say that these nucleus, the power that's in them to be able to germinate and bring them forth, that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with seeds. So we don't have to do a lot, but if your soil is right and your soil is conditioned, you're going to have a great start. And if you're giving them an extra nutrients before you even put them in the garden, you're giving them the ability to maybe ward off some of the things and pathogens that might come at them. So all of this time, it's time for you to spend time with like nurturing a new baby, and as we're mothers and we give ready to give birth, you're going to nurture yourself, feed yourself the right thing, and then once you give life and that life comes out, it's bright, it's new, it's responding to the nature that's around it. And now we're here to just facilitate to make sure the environment is right. Just like when you bring your baby home, you want to make sure the environment is right. So when we put these babies and taking them from indoors or little plant containers, they have to now learn how to go out there and survive in that jungle amongst all the other plants and be able to stand up against the biggest pathogens or things that might come against it. So I'm all about having the time to plan to do these things. So let's use our time wisely. We have the time right now, and before we run out of time, let's take that time to get your garden right. You can start it now, and if you make mistakes or whatever, who cares? And you're never going to be perfect. I'm never going to be perfect. You're never going to. There's no such thing as perfect. I even hate that word. Mm-hmm. Life is a trial, and your trials come to make you, and you take every day.
I like to say that in gardening, people say, "Oh, I can't grow things. I can't. I just don't have a green thumb." You have more potential in you to grow than you realize. You may not be able to grow tomatoes, but you can grow lettuce, or you can grow a different plant. So you shouldn't judge yourself and be harsh on yourself. Gardening is the most important thing because you're providing nutrient-dense food for yourself and your family. But with gardening comes excitement, comes frustration, becomes knowledge, but you get to see how our Creator Yahweh has set life right before you. And just like my wife said, it's like taking care of a child. You're nurturing that plant. You're learning from that plant how it's proceeding through its own lifespan so that you can take that knowledge. And I would say this to every gardener, and we've heard this from a lot of gardeners, especially Joe Lample. We used to watch him from time to time. Document what you do in your garden. Take pictures, make notes, whether digital notes in your phone or whatever. Take pictures of the plants when they have disease processes going on. Look for answers to make your garden thrive so that you'll be able to come out with more of an abundance of what you planted.
And don't forget, if you love planting and you love seeds, get this seed catalog. I'm going to show you a page real quickly while my husband's holding it. I mean, you get recipes, you get ideals. You know what? For me, this is my Bible.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I'm like, I can't wait just so I can get some alone time so I can just go and look at this book. And then, of course, I want to order the seeds. Even if you don't order them from the Rare Seed Company, which they are a very reputable company, you can go on Etsy. I save seeds. I have a lot of these seeds already. But you get ideals. I mean, even with looking at, I'm an herbalist, but I'm always looking at new recipes, new ideals, because I'm not an herbalist just to say for medicine. That's boring. I like herbs for food. I cook. I like to cook everything from stews and soups to cakes or whatever, utilizing all of what our Creator has given us on this earth because it's ours. You said the earth and the fullness
thereof.
That's what we got,
mm-hmm.
and that's what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But we spend enough time here today, and we know we have to get out of here.
We gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Man.
We have to go. I know it's hard to do, but we want to make sure that you please like
and subscribe.
Smash that button.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribe to
and
us.
Leave us comments.
Please leave us comments. Any ideals and suggestions, we would love it. That's positive. If you're negative, we're gonna send you to the cornfield. Okay. But we love you, and until next time.
I tell you what do you say?
No, I'm not gonna let him say it because he wants to say it, but I told him not say it on every time. Make sure that you subscribe and like, and you'll hear it the next time.
Right.
You have a wonderful day.
Get busy living.
I knew he was gonna do it.
Or get busy dying, but you can't do both.
I keep saying somebody's gonna try that, but anyway.
No, that would be awkward.
That'd be terrible.
All righty.
Have a good one. Take care.
All right, everybody.
See you soon.
See you soon. Going out with a little African music.
As always.
As always. Since we were in South Africa recently.
You're still there.
I'm still there. In my heart and mind, I'm there. So let me, I'm trying to, there's one favorite that I'm like.
I'm gonna send you to the cornfield too.
Send me to the cornfield, baby.
Yeah, I am.
I'm ready to go off air.
Are you sure?
Yep, I'm sure. Right now.
Well, if you guys are still there and you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be looking at that book, giving it the side eye right now.